They say if you're good enough, they'll find you. But that's not always true, especially in the Nollywood space. Nollywood talent isn't always enough. Sometimes you need keys, and even sometimes those keys are not enough. You need to build the house with your bare hands. These are the women who weren't handed a seat at the table but took a seat just because they wanted to. Welcome to Late List TV. I remain your host, Benny, and today we'll be doing something entirely different from what you're used to on this channel. We're talking about the women in the Nollywood entertainment space who weren't handed a seat at the table, who weren't even given a chance to showcase their talents, but they still made up for it through great compassion and consistency. We're starting off strong and we'll be telling you 7 women who were tortured before they became the limelight or before they became the superstars that you know today. 7, we've got Toyin Abraham, the girl who was counted out. They said she was too local, too controversial. She dealt with public heartbreak, battled with depression, and the media just wouldn't let her heal. But the Toyin fold? No, of course not. She took her pain and made it into a platform. Today, she doesn't chase the spotlight chases her. She's a force. At every point in time, she has been dragged either by the media for her dressing, for the way she speaks, for the way she acts. But today, they have no choice than to celebrate the woman that is Toyin Abraham. She's a force. She has been in one of the top films, and she's not just an actor. She's also a producer, and she's produced some of the greatest film that Nollywood has seen. And then at number 6, we've got Miss Shafi Bello, the one who came back just to start again. I know how crazy it is when everybody in Nigeria wants to go outside the country just for greener pastures, and then there is someone who did the total opposite, coming from the US and coming to Nigeria just to start over again in the entertainment space. She had a perfect singing career in the US, a life abroad, safety, everything you could ever need, but she gave it all up to chase her dreams that had no guarantee in the acting space in Nigeria. She came home and she had to start all over from scratch. Producers didn't know her. Fans didn't care. They didn't give a shit, excuse my French. They honestly didn't care about anything that she was doing. But what did she have? She had grace, she had strength, she had resilience. And today, she's not just playing characters, she's embodying roles. And that's why she's one of the top, most celebrated people in Nigeria. She has done conferences, she has come to speak to young people, and she's someone who people look up to. And if you hear her story, it's a literal, she wouldn't want to say grace from grace, but it wasn't easy for her to get to the point where she was. A lot of people thought, oh, her coming to Nigeria, she's privileged, she knew people. But the actual truth is she fought for everything that she has today. Shafi Bello reintroduced herself and we had no choice but to listen. Okay, I'm moving on to number 5. We have Joke Silva. Miss Joke Silva, please put respect on their name. Before Nollywood had structure, before we had cinemas, before the film industry was celebrated, she came in at a time where people looked down on actors and did not find it as a craft that is what's celebrated. Before women were allowed to even lead the way, she was already working in her purpose. She was trained, she was polished, she was brilliant, but according to the film space, she was just too trained. They said she was too foreign. They said she was too old school for mainstream roles, too calm for chaos, too married to be marketable. But Miss Jokel Silva never auditioned for fame. She was in it for the work. When others chased hype, she chased the craft. When others begged to be seen, she made herself undeniable. She took roles that didn't trend, but they thought, they healed, and they endured. She raised the bar and turned around and raised the next generation. At number 4, we've got Bimbo Ademoye, the girl who got tired of waiting. So, she trained, she auditioned, she studied, she waited and waited, but directors told her, you know, you're cute, but you're not memorable. Producers gave her small parts, side chick here, secretary there, receptionist here. And for a long time, it seemed like that was all she would ever be. But Bimbo, she got tired of waiting for a breakthrough, so she became her own storm. She started from YouTube skits and owned every single role, big or small. She made people cry, then laugh, and then watch. Now, all you just have to say is Bimbo Ademoye and the whole room literally turns. She didn't just blow. No. She worked and she became the star that she is right now. And we are so sat for it. Bimbo, take your flowers because you literally deserve it. Right now, she's also into producing her own films. Work hard, the results will tell. At number 3, we've got the icon that I talked about a few weeks ago, but you should definitely go check out that video on our channel. This time around, it's Nancy eceb. And whenever you talk about one of the most hardworking, most consistent, most disciplined people in the Nollywood film industry, if you've not called Nancy eceb, then I literally don't even know what you're doing, because Nancy is the definition of grit, passion, doing the right things at the right time. At 5 years old, Nancy lost her mother, and others would have taken this as an avenue to become relaxed, let the world, push them and let the world beat them up. But she didn't do that, because at just 17, Nancy already started hustling, from presenting to ushering to modeling. Everything that needed to be done just to have a sustainable life, Nancy was already into it. She was told that she was too pretty to be taken seriously, but she didn't just show up, she showed out. Job after job, she put herself on the map. Not because of hype, not because of fame, but because of hunger. She didn't come from privilege, no. She was built from grief. And when the role in Blood Sisters came, it wasn't just luck. It was payback for the years of consistency, the sleepless nights, the pain. If you listen to her story, she always talks about how she comes home late at night, 11 p.m., 12 a.m. in the morning, how she had to sleep over at her friend's place, and everything she had to do to get to this point where she is today. She's someone who didn't just, she wasn't given a seat. She had to struggle and build her seat from sweat, blood, and tears. So at number 2, we've got Missy Yabo Ojo, the woman who refused to be silenced. Divorced young, left with 2 young children in an industry that eats women for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. That's how Yabo Ojo came into Nollywood. She was blacklisted, sidelined, called difficult, called dramatic. Sometimes all she had was just her kids and her phone. She'd post content when people weren't watching, speak up when no one else did. Her passion made her enemies, but her consistency made her unforgettable. Today, she's not just an actress, she's a voice, an activist, a mother, and a fighter. She built her career from the ground with no husband, no rich mentor, no handouts. Iyabo Ojo wasn't welcomed into Nollywood, but she forced her way in as a woman, with grit. Okay, guys, and you know who won our internet this week? Miss, drumroll please, Funke Akindele. Before she was the queen of the box office, she was just another girl, standing in the audition lines, repeating the same monologues to uninterested producers, getting overlooked because she wasn't even the fine girl they were looking for. When Jennifer came out, they didn't even call it genius, they called it Raz, because her accent was too bush, the comedy was too loud. They laughed at her, not with her. For years, they boxed her in as that Yoruba comic actress, the one who could make people laugh, but never to be taken seriously. They gave her crumbs, but she turned those crumbs into a feast. They gave her roles they didn't want, but she turned them unforgettable. And then she got tired of waiting for the industry to take her seriously, so she started writing, producing, and then she built her own production company, funded her own films, and those same films, Omogeto the Saga, Battle on Booker Streets, A Tribe Called Judah, they didn't just top the charts, they broke the charts. She became the highest grossing filmmaker in Nollywood industry. No Godfather, no silver spoon, just sheer audacity, talent, and grit. Behind that laughter is a woman who has cried in silence, who's been through public heartbreaks, political criticisms, and private storms. But through it all, Funke didn't just survive Nollywood. She rewrote its rules. She made us laugh, yes, but more importantly, she made space for every girl who's ever been called too much, too ras, too loud, too ambitious. Funke Akindele is proof that there is power in being underestimated, because when the world tried to put her into a box, she broke the box and created something entirely new. And that's it on this week's episode of Weekly Curiosity right here on Litlist TV. And those are the women who, through resilience, made their way into the top section of the charts in the Nollywood film industry. I remain your host, Benny. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we will definitely see you next week.